Good morning, day 8. We're just woken up from our little campsite just off the heights of Kinlochewe. Smashing little campsite actually. Although this morning it was still, there was no sun, and therefore we did suffer the midge somewhat. But it was okay. It was worth it last night for a good night's sleep after what's been, you know, a tough 2 days. Tough but good, tough 2 days. Going through Haldane, Chaorachain, racking up quite a few miles. Today should be good. We're going to go through the Fisherfield Forest where there's all the famous Munros, including Untitled, which is just a stunning ridge walk, probably my favourite hill. And yeah, cool, couple of nice lochs as well. Loch Naselgar, Loch Fada as well. It's a really nice area. So today should be a good day, and we're under no rush as well because we just need to get to Ullapool by tomorrow night. So that's completely doable. Oh, and I forgot to mention my brother-in-law's brother, David, and his wife Sharon have the service station in Kinlochewe service station, petrol station on the North Coast 500. So we sent a parcel up there yesterday with our rehydrated meals, which are now in my rucksack. My rucksack's quite light still, and got coffee and a toastie and that, and they were really welcoming and obviously did us a massive favour. And it was a lovely day yesterday. We walked in like absolute zombies after our ordeal in Haldane, and yeah, the place was wall to wall with bikers and all that, because obviously it's Kinlochewe for many people as the start or the finish of the North Coast 500. So there was lots of nice cars coming through, lots of biker groups and things like that, and they were really rushed off their feet. But it's a good little bit where you can get toasties, and if you're there for breakfast, they've got a breakfast menu as well. You can get like camping amenities and just chill out, sit outside obviously in these times as well. It's a nice little place if you get a chance. If you're wondering what that pink towel is on my bag, it is like a little cheap microfiber towel that you can get, and it's quite good for absorbing water. So I just use it to wipe down the tent from condensation and, well, rain in the morning, so it's not going away sodden, just a little bit damp. Obviously can't get rid of all the moisture. Then I just wring it out and I hang it out on my bag so it dries, and rinse and repeat really. Got this Madeira cake from Kinlochewe service station. Half-tanned it last night, and what a location to tan the rest. This is Loch Fada where we just stopped for that Madeira cake. We're heading now up yonder. The map says there's no path, or intermittent, indistinct to no path. But actually looked like there was something. Just the amount of people probably now that doing the Cape Raft Trail. It's 2021 now, and that my map was made in 2019, and just reckon a lot more people are doing it now. So there's a little cairn, it tells you you're almost going off at a right angle. This path here into Loch Fada isn't actually part of the official trail, but it's well worth stopping for lunch if you get the weather, and then you just crack on up that Bilac. There's the cairn. You just pass that little stream and it's there, and then you head up here to your right, And there is a path now, just the amount of people that have come here. The Fisherfield Forest with all the Munros and that, it's just such a nice place, like spectacular place really. A little water slide, a little pool, another little pool, and a view. Some natural water slides going on up there, and then that of course is Angelic, and we're coming up to Loch Broom. Is it Loch Broom? Yeah, Loch Broom, which I don't know if you can make out, it's just over there. So we're going to take that track up that way, which dodges Cheneval. So tomorrow going to Ullapool to meet my parents are staying there for 3 days, so we've got a little B&B, and they've got another B&B, and so tonight we want to make tomorrow manageable in the sense of like getting to Inverlael and then getting either picked up or a taxi. Long and short of it is we're not going to go to Cheneval, we're going to push on past it just short of Coire car park, so we've just got the short walk tomorrow, so it'll just be a short jaunt, well relatively short jaunt over the hill to Inverlael. I did stay at Cheneval 2019 with a couple of mates, and we were doing Angelic, and we'd had a little holiday in Scotland. For a few days we went to the Five Sisters of Kinlochewe, place, Chaorachain restaurant for our dinner, and parked the car up. It was about Coire car park, and it was about 8 o'clock before we got out. Got to Cheneval. By the time we got to Cheneval, it was dark. Literally, didn't have the maps. We were using Google Maps because on our phones, because it didn't need internet signal, it's still picking us up. We just Cheneval is actually marked on that Google Maps, so we just charged on to there. Got up in the morning, went up Angelic, round. The idea was we're going to come to do the ridge, come down Dundonald House kind of way, and get a lift back into Coire, just flag something down. Anyway, I had this complete anxiety about car keys the whole time, you know what I mean, because the whole operation revolves around the car, and I was so super careful about them, but I got off the top of it, Fiona I think it is, and down to the bottom, and I was like, have I got my car keys? I must have my car keys. So I started looking in places in my rucksack where I thought they'd be, and I was convinced myself that I'd left my car keys at Cheneval Bothy. So at this point I'm thinking, firstly, I'm never going to live this down, I'm going to get ripped off the lads, and secondly, like, time was marching on, we wanted to get to Ullapool for our dinner, we were going to stay in Ullapool that night. We need to find a plan to get these back. So I was sure I hadn't lost them on the hill, because that would have been, you know, I would have zipped them up and put them in a good pocket. I wouldn't have just put them in my trouser pockets. So I was like, I've left it at Cheneval Bothy. So I was just so embarrassed. I left my bag. I said, lads, take my bag down the hill. I'm going to flag down a car, go back to Coire, run into Cheneval, because that was probably the faster route than going the other way. Anyway, got to Cheneval Bothy. There were like a couple of Belgian students with a Scottish guy was like taking them on some sort of like hiking expedition around here, and he was helping me look in Cheneval. We turned the place upside down, and it wasn't there. So I was like completely depressed. Ran at this point, knackered from all the hiking, ran back to Coire, phoned the lads. I was just like, lads, it isn't there, or at least I don't think it's there. Don't know where the car keys are. Can you turn my bag inside out? And they did, and lo and behold, car keys were actually in my bag, inside my jacket pocket in a dry bag. And worse than losing my keys, forgetting where I packed my keys, I've absolutely never lived that down. And there's a cool wee cave. Anchelic. Up there somewhere is Lord Berkeley's seat. I don't know if it's just that conical bit or one of them. Basically one of the tops of Anchelic. And recently, last year I think, a bootneck, ex-bootneck, base jumped off that with a wingsuit into the wee lock-in that's on the other side of it. I don't know what the name of that lock-in actually is. Lock-in, Tall and Lochain. So that was, if you've ever seen the top of Lord Berkeley's seat, that was a pretty gutsy balls out thing to do, but he did it. I think he was the first person ever to base jump off there. So I'm on the Coire. Yeah, I'm not sure how much you're gonna get on my GoPro, but I'll maybe do one of those things guys do where they put the grid reference of where this is on the video, if I ever publish a video, because it's a watercolour stream. If you're one of those, if you're that way inclined and you like to paint things, you've got the yellow of the gorse bush, nice blue sky, the mountains, little farmhouse, little stream, the green. It's June, come here in June, late June, early July. So it's just Anchelic, Loch Selga, I think. It's not on my map, so I don't really know. Some other Munro that I'm not sure the name of. Some more. Yeah. I mean, it's just a cracking new place, isn't it? I think that's why I've not been doing that much filming today, because it's just been too nice to kind of just bang out the camera for. But like, do you know what I mean? That's the path to Cheneval Bothy. Yeah, bumped into a couple of people now who are doing the Fisherfield 6 or 5 tomorrow, and what day it'll be. Good morning, day 10. Goodness me, I think I said day 8 yesterday when actually it was day 9. But we had a half day, so it's like day 9.5. Anyway, we've just collapsed camp and we're heading down to Coire car park. We camped in a nice wee spot, you know, as you go off on the path to Cheneval Bothy, just a bit further down towards Coire car park on the eastern side of the track. And there's a wee loch where the loch turns into a river. That's where we camped. There's like, it was a bumpy pitch, but it was okay. We're right next to the water source and I had a pretty good night's sleep, so I'm happy. Today, nothing spectacular planned. We're heading into Ullapool, so we get down to Coire car park and Dundonald House, up the hill, over into Inverlael, and then taxi / get picked up by my parents and head into Ullapool. And although you can't see it, I am bursting with excitement because we're going to the seafood shack, probably for lunch or dinner, and that's got rave reviews, so I'm well excited for that. and just to get washed up and all that kind of good stuff, and replenish our stocks, because we ran out of everything this morning. So, well, except the rehydrated meals, but we ran out of peanut butter, nuts, wraps, all those kind of good things. So we'll get them at Ullapool. And also, like, it being day 10, we're a bit tuned into what's good and what's not. So Ullapool onwards, we should have a bag full of the right stuff for heading on for the second half. It says second half, but it's more like 2/3 you've done when you get to Ullapool. Turn off is a bit further up for that red post box, but it looks like there's a little path you can go down here to Bad Ralach, which is where the path to go over the hill to Ullapool takes us. I think it's up this way. It's quite a pull from that Balraddock, but that up there is angelic, covered in cloud. Fortunately, can't exactly see that much, but that would be quite impressive when they disappear. See, when you cross over from that waterfall, you do pick up a path, but there's a network of like deer paths as well, and it's easy to lose sight of the track and then take a deer path. But don't worry, even though you will be low level heather bashing for a k or so, there comes another river about a k away, and then the path becomes quite elaborate, a la this, and you can see it going all the way up the mountain out there. So you shan't be doing it for too long. If you're wondering what's on my head, I've wet my buff and shoved up my head because it is a hot day today, even though angelic is covered in cloud. It's pretty roasting. Don't know who that is. Couldn't see any markings on it, wasn't military anyway. Oh. Having a Kit Kat, but I'm not having a break. There's angelic coming just into view now as we're departing the Fisherfield Forest. That's Loch Broom, and I think Inverlael is there. If you were doing this north to south, this part is going to be an epically steep little leg for you coming down here with the pack on my knees. I'm just well, I'm probably taking about a month off my life, their life, every time I take a step. It is steep, but it's a lovely view. Look at that. Aye, sounds about right. Not a bad place to live. Good morning. This is day 11 and we're using the much commonly used variant from Ullapool. Spent the night in Ullapool last night. So you start past the quarry and it's pretty dusty. You get a lot of lorries coming in and out and things like that, but I've just bumped into a couple there that have told me that this path does get better, and looking at the map it's pretty much road or forest track the whole way into Oykel Bridge with very little elevation, so that could be boring, and sometimes when it's like that you do munch up the miles quite quick, but you feel it in the feet for some reason because the feet are always in the same position. That's what I find anyway, especially on forestry track. But I'm not complaining. We've had a late start today and a good breakfast, and it is now like 11 o'clock. Could even be past 11 o'clock. We've only done about a kilometre, so yeah, we've got a lot to do. Something like 19 miles, hopefully to Oykel Bridge. And yeah, parents are in tow, and they were going to have lunch with us at Loch Broom, which I think is about 4 kilometres away, probably about 3 now, and then they'll head back, so a little 5-mile walk for them today, and we've got some coffee and cake and that. So today is probably not going to be the most exciting day in the world, but not every day can be, especially when only 2 days ago we were going through the Fisherfield Forest. So you take the rough with the smooth on the Gatebath Trail, and this is the smooth, but it's the boring smooth.
Yeah, the earrings. They look kind of sad with them.
You were stronger than you went here, you probably isn't. So let's see to the last one.
That's East Redorick Lodge, which I think you can rent out in the cottages, and there was a little bridge there where you take your luggage across on the wheelbarrow across the bridge, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we're just looking for a water source now, and it's not the most ideal place in the world because it is farmland. But I've obviously not been videoing much today because, I mean, there is a lot to see, but I've been with my parents. I mean, there are some nice sights. It's a nice time of year. We've had good weather, generally speaking. Not quite as good as yesterday, but better for hiking probably. But it's just, it goes on and on and on, and we're kind of just getting a bit tired of it. Anyway, we've got 2 bothies to look forward to. Knockdamp, don't know if I've said that right, and the Old Schoolhouse, pretty sure I have said that right because it's in English. And we're shortly gonna rejoin we'll rejoin the main path, but I think this is the main path, as I've said before, because you'd be stupid not to go into a Ullapool or a purist, but those words are interchangeable. Obviously though, I'm keeping my chin up because I'm doing this leg for a good friend and lawyer, David Orr, who never actually made it on this part because of a weakness in his ankle. Do you love me?
Yes.
Because sometimes you question your love for me.
Yes.
The weather has improved quite a bit, and because seeing as we're travelling from west to east and it's late afternoon, the sun is beating down on my already weather beaten neck, and so my dad gave me a cap which I'm sporting like a sort of 90s American at the moment, and it's helping out quite a bit. Problem is, of course, it's exposing my receding hairline. we are heading for the schoolhouse bothy, the old schoolhouse bothy. I'm interested to see this bothy. Usually, sometimes they have a little bit inside if they've got a little bit of history to them, like that Malbury one we had. Again, apologies for pronunciation. I'm fascinated by who actually went to this school, because I've not even seen like little ruins, you know, like little ruins of old buildings or old settlements or that. So I don't know what children went there, whether they were just like feral children. Turns out the schoolhouse bothy was probably created as an initiative to educate rural Scottish children, so I'd like to retract my previous potentially insensitive comments. Oykel Bridge, it's about 7:30, so it's been a long old day, and that leg between Ullapool and Oykel Bridge, if you're going to do it in one day, it is quite mundane, to be honest. Well, I mean, as far as legs on the Cape Wrath Trail goes, it's a bit mundane. Pleasant is what I would have called it, but yeah, like on the forest tracks, stony mostly. For me, that's difficult on the feet. I don't know how other people feel about that, but tomorrow I think it's more of the same until we get to sort of the Ben More region. But I'm looking forward to it, and we're making, today was a day of good progress considering we got up late and accommodated our parents till about lunchtime. I think we've done about 27 kilometres since lunch, so is that about right? Yeah, probably about right, so that's a lot. Good morning from the banks of the River Oykel, a salmon fishing river in the middle of nowhere, really, between Sutherland and Assynt, I think. Last night was a really pleasant night. We managed to get the tent up, no bother, nice little pitch. Not 100% sure if we were actually meant to, because the grass was cut and we're not too far away from the Oykel Bridge Hotel, but there was nothing to say no camping, so we left no trace as usual and just camped there anyway. But I woke up this morning, and as you can tell by the little shroud I've got on, absolutely bombarded with the midge, and therefore I'm wearing all long sleeves, socks tucked into trousers, mozzie net, mozzie repellent, you know, all the bells and whistles basically to stop myself getting bitten. I've had enough of that so far. Bites and sunburn have plagued me. But yeah, we've not had breakfast yet either, so we're gonna, as you can probably tell by my shit patter, we're gonna cross the Oykel Bridge, head up a little bit where we think there's not going to be many midges, and then enjoy a little breakfast, have a coffee and things like that as well. Yeah, not much else to say. Day 11. We've got a little alternative here, whether we should nip down at Inverlael or head like to the eastern side of Ben More, and don't really know which one's best. We're trying to find out on Tinterweb last night, but nothing was said. So we think we're gonna just crack on and not go into Inverlael because we don't really need to. But we'll see how we feel. Day 12, I may have said 11 earlier. The midges have subsided, the sun has come out, and therefore the cap is out again. Yeah, walking up the River Oykel today, all the way to Ben More Lodge. Oh, not much to say about it really. It's nice, it's a nice day, it's flat walking. More what's on our mind at the moment is like logistics for the next few days. We've got quite a lot of food, but it's just charging battery packs and all that. I phoned up the Inverlael Hotel. The lady was quite nice, but she was like, we're not taking unfortunately we're not taking people in at the moment unless they're guests or residents, she said. You can go to the Kinlochewe Hotel, or you can go to Loch Inverlael, which is not on the Coire Trail. Kinlochewe Hotel is not on it either, but it's a manageable detour. And it's just, yeah, we're kind of worried about like maybe a battery pack running out. I've got one of those anchor ones. It's pretty good. Like I can't remember what wattage it is, but it does quite a few charges. In other news though, these bars, Eat Natural bars, gluten free, wheat free. You've planted a tree, you've dug a well, you've bought a book for a child less fortunate. Bars are pretty good. So I'd recommend them. Maple syrup, pecans and peanuts. That's my favourite one of them. It's missing chocolate for me. I think they should incorporate chocolate, and it would be the complete ethical tasty bar. Okay, a little update for you. I have the 2019 map, and you see that bridge ahead of us there. That is not on my map, so I'll show you where we are. We've been coming, I know this because of the GPS, we've come up here to that bit there, it says go up, so we took that indistinct path, and before we reached that level, that altitude there, we found a path with a bridge, which is not marked on the map. It's a slight sort of bit, you can see it there, comes up, little less bend, and heads up in roughly the direction we want to be taking, because that's the River Oykel there, heading sort of northwest. So yeah, if you're coming up here, this could be, I don't know, but this could be a path that has just been laid in the last, well, it would be 2 years because this map is 2019. But it's no drama. It's no drama. We're heading in the right direction. We're on a path. You know, like all these felled trees and that. I don't really fancy like going on a hunt for a path that may not be that great when this one is going in our direction and is great. I'm in that kind of mood today because we've been following paths for the last couple of days, so, and I know that Ben More is going to be a case of bearing on the map, compass / GPS out and mark shit, which so we'll save that for when it's absolutely necessary. On the topic of navigation, as I've mentioned before, using the Harvey maps, which so far have served me well. The only thing I'd say about them is that you can't really, if you see a hill in the distance and you're a bit of a spotter and you want to know what it is and you don't have a phone signal, Harvey maps ain't going to help you out because you only get that little sliver. But it's been good, generally. It's good that, obviously it's great to have like all on one page, and it's absolutely great to have the little red dot telling you where to go. As you can tell here, we're now not on the red dot and not on the Harvey map, but that's no fault. Things change, paths get laid, other paths go into disrepair and become basically unrecognisable. I'm using the GPS as well, just to double check things. That's why I was mentioning power banks earlier, like if that power bank doesn't get charged, the GPS runs out, then we're having a bit of a snag there, because I would have to use the compass, which is fine. If that failed or lost the compass, I'd have to use the force, which would be method of the sun, to know, just go north until I reach the Cape. But yeah, the power bank, that's why I need to get into sort of places maybe for a cup of coffee and stuff like that, so I can charge that bad boy up, because it is actually running the show here. Phones on it at the moment, GoPro, drone, GPS, you know, it's pretty essential, pretty much an essential item on this trip if you're not stopping into places all the time, or if you're a complete purist and you're just going out with a map and compass, fair one. But I don't, I use a GPS. No, I've not got routes planned on the GPS like some people do. I've not done that, but it's really good for, I have it on this page. You can see, it just tells you where you're at, live update of where you're at, which is good to just double check with the map, and then you can kind of, as it changes, you can see what grid line you're coming up with, northerns or easterns, and you know, oh yeah, that's the bit where I need to start looking out for that left turning, blah blah blah. So it's mega useful in that sense. But I wouldn't, you know, I've seen other people's vlogs and you get the Walk Highlands files or whatever, and then you start using this tray. This, which changes by the way, because I'm pretty sure the old map used to go by the river, which you can do, but we'll just take a bit of a altitude hit early in the day rather than later in the day. So things, like I say, you can get a bit of a confliction between what Walk Highlands says and what the guide's saying, and then you don't have peace of mind. So I'm sticking with the map, and if I want to make an alternative, I'll make that based on this map, and that's, I think, the best way to do things. So that path we were on, the S-Bendy path, it did eventually take us up to the straighter looking path that runs almost parallel with the River Oykel at a slightly higher altitude. That's a fly that just flew on the screen there. So yeah, that's this is July 21 and the map was 2019, so that must just have been put in there. It takes you right up, and now we're on the right path, according to the guide, heading to Ben More and Assynt. For lunch this afternoon, Jade has gone for the full green sun-dried tomato cauliflower risotto and put in a wrap with a salad topper. And I have gone for mackerel chipotle sauce, Tesco mackerel, best gear, and also a spicy chorizo in a wrap. And also in here stewing up is some couscous. Might treat myself to a penguin after as well. That is Ben More Lodge, and it's a private hunting lodge. It's very well put out, to be honest. A lovely view backdrop there of Coire and Ben More. After Ben More Lodge, we're essentially in the proverbial sticks. There's no real marks on the map where I can see we can get fish and chips anyway. Certainly it's maybe Reconic, but apart from that, Kinlochewe, it's pretty wild country. So if something were to happen to Jade or I, for example, if something more likely were to happen to Jade, I'd probably have to apply first aid and leave her behind, because we're so close to the objective at this point. And I think she'd do the same with me, to be honest. I think it's just one of those things. Finishing's just too important. Makes me miss my dog. Just been accosted by some wolves walking innocently past Ben More Lodge. There was a beagle there, which obviously is an indication of the bourgeoisie being nearby, as is the massive mansion that's merely 500 metres. To be honest, I'm surprised they're not corgis. Since doing the Cape Wrath Trail, I've had to sort of adjust my own notion of what a lodge actually is, because I've got I get connotations of I don't know, something wooden, oldish, austere, in the nowhere, but actually they're mansions. Had to cut my last video short because just as I was saying the word mansion with slightly anti-establishment undertones, a very nice, clearly quite wealthy gentleman walked around the corner. He'd just been on a run on this forestry track, and he was wishing me all the good days and asking where I was going, and just made me generally feel really bad about the sort of sarcasm I've been using for the last 5 minutes or so. But that's how they do it, the Tories, I mean the establishment, but the Tories do it as well. You know, they've the likes of Boris Johnson, and they're quite charming, and bubbly, and it's like a clumsy politeness, and they sidetrack you with that, and while they're sidetracking you with that, they're redirecting your tax, you know, the money that you taxed, to outsourcing companies that they're probably a major shareholder in. So, and this is where the path forks, pretty obvious. That way up that Beelach and then Inchnaddamp, that way around the eastern side of Ben More, which is what we're doing, and there's a bridge with Jade stretching on it, hitching it at our back. It says that we have like a visible path, like all of today, pretty much, except a couple of bits. So this should be a really, this is a great day for it, nice wind, bit of sun. So ordinarily, this would probably be quite a cheeky river crossing, but mercifully it has not been raining and the river is the opposite of in spate, and thus we should have an easy crossing taking the old stone route. Might have a wee slippy, but that's not a problem. And there, so the off-road in begins again, and I'm really excited about that. We could have gone that way, which would have been into Inchnaddamp, but we're heading up there, and I think that rock behind this guy is called Eagle's Rock, so that's cool. See, when the weather is like this, it doesn't just lift your morale because it's perfect weather, it's sunny with a breeze, but the navigation is 10 times easier, and the path, because you can see the paths, you know, number one, and also the paths you're walking on. Like for example, this path that we were on just earlier, still the same path, it's got a bit grassy, and there are what I would call soggy interludes, but it's drier because obviously we've had a dry few days, so it's nice and like soft on your feet. It's just really pleasant. Like if it had been raining, or if it were a different time of year, a wetter time of year, I think we would have had a few snags on this here, just not seeing where we're going, you know, having to keep an eye on our feet the whole time, because you know it would be boggy, and yeah, you just wouldn't enjoy it as much. It's just beautiful weather, really stunning weather. It's not too scorching as well, it's just right. So we're coming round to the sort of north of Eagle's Rock, and I believe that is Ben More. The path skirts up there. Oh no, sorry, wrong. It skirts down there. But yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. These sporadic boulders and small lock-ins scattered around the place. Excuse probably face and hair, it's been a long one. Are like typical of Assynt, the area we're in, and wait till we get up to this cairn. There's some pretty, bear in mind it's like 6:30, so it's not, well, it's not late in the evening, but it's probably longer than I'd want to be walking for a day. But we're coming to this point because Just cracking views coming up. Yeah, what about it? So cool. And up there's Ben More. We're going to try and find a little camping spot next to that little lock-in. Lock-in Bilac a Madade. That is criminal. Absolutely, like, that's a capital offence, that pronunciation, but that's where we're going, and it is. I love these little boulder fields. I'm not sure Jade likes them though. So this is where we've camped up. I might mark the coordinates of this little bit because it's, if you're like looking at doing Oykel Bridge to Inchnaddamp as a leg and you are going the other way, not to Inchnaddamp but over the eastern side of Ben More, this is probably a good stop. It's just slightly further north than Inchnaddamp. Going across the map. Good. Just had a little